Good morning, good morning, good morning, my friends. Welcome to the Oh My Goodness podcast. I am your host, AJ Smith, the Joy Weaver, and I'm so excited to be here. I wanted to give an overview of some of the takeaways from the Fuck It, Why Not, We Need It Joy Challenge, because some people are doing it, some people aren't, and that's okay. But there's also some things that came out that I think if you're like, I just need, what is it? What is the spark? I need the Spark Notes version of the challenge. I got you. I got you. Here you go. And if you're like, ooh, this is good stuff, where can I find more? Go to Embodied in Joy, my free Facebook group, and all the links are there in a Google Doc. We have the recordings, the audios, the transcripts, and worksheets for each one. And things are going to be happening with it. So those are all staying up. Don't worry. If you're like, oh man, a group chat of accountability, that sounds amazing. That is still staying up. So lots of goodness to still participate in, whether you're reading this now or listening to this now or listening in a few months. You might hear my voice is a little welcome to the late night radio show with AJ, a little sultry today. I had a lot of festivals this past weekend, so we did a lot of shouting over music, if that makes sense. Okay, so first off, one of the things that surprised me but didn't surprise me about this is the stories we have about joy. Y'all, do we have stories? And stories are sneaky sons of bitches. They just get in there and they're like, oh, this is my spot now. This is the truth that is resting in my bosom. I will never let this go. Like, we're like, this is my story and I'm sticking to it. But not all stories are helpful. And one of the tools we did, I think it's called three. Man, I should have written this out, but we talked about some stories are helpful, some stories are hurtful, and some stories were like, I don't know. I haven't made up my mind about this yet. And then we can practice choosing new stories or adjusting stories. So sometimes people are like, oh, just throw away that belief. Or have you ever heard like, let go, let God? And it's like, cool, Barbara, but like how? And so the cool thing about when we think about it as a practice is that you can lean in to adjusting like small micro adjustments by 10%, 5%, a recurring theme and story people had at the start of the challenge. And I'm so grateful that so many people don't have this now, is they're like, my joy, if it's not elated joy, it doesn't count. And it's like, no, that's not how that works. But that's how the world tells us it works, right? And so I just want to give us context too, that so many people see me now, 10 years on this journey of joy, and really like 6 years into like the full kind of Joy Weaver vibe, but also through 4 years, 3 years after like everything going pretty dark and fighting and clawing my way back, and then actively making this a practice where I've hauled ass on it. Does that make sense? So like sometimes people are like, yeah, but you're doing it. And it's like, yes, but this took me 3 years to figure out. Like, it's going to take time. If we've had 20 years of practice of believing we're not worthy of goodness, we're not allowed joy, our joy makes other people shameful. Like, do you see how that may take more than a single hour of a call or a one-on-one or a month to rewire? How that may take some practice, how that might be connected to some other things that we're going to have to deal with. I'm not saying this in a shamey way, but there is so much pressure of all or nothing that I saw, and people said out loud in this challenge of, they're like, well, I'm not doing it this way, so I'm doing the challenge wrong. And I was like, no, you like showed up. You're like listening. You're here, like gold stars. If you're at any point thinking about this work, doing this work, mulling how to be a better human, you get gold stars. I don't know if you can hear this. That's your maraca moment. I don't know if that's irritating on the podcast, so I'll only do it once and I'll listen back to see if I'll ever do it again. But you get a maraca moment because we don't celebrate ourselves. And Hannah Wells talks about this all the time, and she does sisterhood stuff, and she's marvelous. She's a cool coach in California, I think. But we don't celebrate ourselves for the small things or the big things. And when we celebrate the big things, we're often like, yeah, well, it's because XYZ. We either like push off the responsibility, give other people credit for our wins, or say it was all God, but you also showed up. Like, God can move by God's self, sure. And also you got to go ask for the things, you got to go do the work for spirit to move. Does that make sense? Like you are the hands and feet. And so often there's this like stripping of the self, but bringing the self back into it when you do anything wrong. If you do anything wrong, it's not other people's fault. Oh my gosh, it's me. But I mean, we also blame other people too sometimes, right? There's that whole victim shifting blame thing. There's a whole other podcast. We're not going to talk about that now. But we're the first ones to self-flagellate and the last ones to take any credit. And do you see how that may skew your perspective of yourself? Do you see how the way we're talking about ourselves, right? Words have power, words are spells. And so I just want to invite into the conversation that not everything you think is true. People are like, I feel this. And it's like, okay, what is that information telling you? Because so often we're like, well, if I think it's true. I was like, well, that's dangerous because sometimes I think about what I don't know. I was going to say like wall paint tastes like something just stupid and weird, like have you ever done the battery on your tongue? But like, why would you do? Because you're curious, right? But like, just because something comes in your brain doesn't make it true, doesn't mean it's something that has to happen, right? Intrusive thoughts are a whole thing. So like the stories, right? We live in poison waters. I say this all the time, but I think this is really helpful because I see how people's bodies shift when we reiterate, hey, we live in a beautiful world and there are capitalist, white supremacist, patriarchal systems in place that thrive on ranking humans, on using humans, on like systems that are built for some people to rise and some people to have a much harder time of it. I'm not saying anything that's not new and not researched. And if you're like, AJ, I don't agree. Okay, well, keep listening on and maybe you will learn things or like go research and then come back because like the things you will find out is very illuminating. This isn't to say that not you didn't have a hard life or things weren't hard, but some things are harder for others than other people because of the systems, period. That's just a true statement, right? So if we can work with this baseline of some of the water is poisoned and we're swimming in it, that maybe all the thoughts we have about ourselves aren't fully aligned with God, spirit, universe, flow, your big soul, because people are trying to sell us stuff. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Like advertising is so good at making us think we need things. Why don't we think it would adjust how we see things? Oh, that was good stuff. Okay, so stories are sneaky. And so one of the things we talked about, I think on call 4 was our body rebound after joy. People were talking about the joy crash, right? I have a really great day and then I crash afterwards and it's because of the joy. And I'm like, no, we are not linking joy and crash. Like, please unlink those because do you see how it's almost like habit stacking, but not, but it's you're making those things connected. If I have joy, I've got to come down. If I go up, I must come down. And it's like, ooh, that's dangerous because then we don't deserve joy. Or what if you don't have enough capacity for joy because you don't have capacity for the crash? So you're not going to allow yourself joy. Do you see how it can get almost convoluted if those are attached that you have to crash? So what we did is we kind of broke down like, hey, when you have high moments where you feel elated joy, when you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Where are you at? A lot of times, majority of times this happens. You are with a big group of people. You're at a concert, you're at a LARP, you're at a Ren fair. At least these are mine. And you're around a lot of energy. And whether or not you believe in energy work is totally fine because if you have you ever been to Black Friday and what do you do afterwards? You go home and you're like, I need space to not be around people. It's because there was so much energy, so many people, right? That's a lot of collective energy. And so when we have those really big days, it's a lot of collective energy. It's a lot of collective high energy. But also, you're probably walking multiple miles. We might not be eating the best food. We have been doing lots of stuff. Maybe we experienced lots of things. Our adrenaline went up and down. We were sharing, maybe we got vulnerable with people, right? Like there's so much more to this than just I was happy and then I'm sad. It's, oh, I walked 12 miles this weekend and I camped out and I ate a lot of random things and maybe I drank and maybe I did these other things and I stayed up really late and I met a lot of people. Of course, Monday, you're going to feel like a fried potato. Does that make sense? It's not because you were happy. It's because you had a big weekend. And so we talk about this come down of, hey, when you're having a big weekend, how can we after plan? So that you're like, no, I can't have a big adventure, things like that. I need the vacation out of the vacation. Okay, well, like let's plan your transition time so that you have a softer landing. Maybe you don't have any calls on Monday. I started retaking my sanctuary days on Monday. Now that I'm doing festivals again, doing fairy hair, think about fairy hair, on the weekends, because I'm around so many people. And then Monday, I'm like, who am I? What's going on? Where am I at? And then I'm like, oh yeah, yeah. Okay, we're taking it easy. We're taking it easy today, but without shame. But if I'm like, I shouldn't be feeling low. I had a great weekend. I can have a great weekend and need a down day. It's not opposite. And that kind of ties into the cozy joy. We were talking about, I think this is called two. We were talking about joy mapping of there's elated joy, there's cozy joy. Like we talked about, what are your joy memories from your life, right? Maybe you can be thinking about this in real time of the different things that bring you joy and what do they feel like? Oh, that's call three. What do they feel like in your body, right? Because sometimes joy is like I mention this all the time, but my Dance of the Druids, the ritual I lead at College of Wizardry, when we're all dancing in the woods and there's 80 of us and the music is going and the fae come out of the forest and everybody's just crying. And it's like I'm lit up like a whole last Christmas tree. Few things in life are as good as that. Like, wow, like that is the goodness. But that joy, I have that there and I have it in other places too, like when I'm line dancing. But that's different than the joy I have at night after I brush my teeth and I see my gorgeous husband of a man, which he said yes to be on this podcast soon. And I'm so excited, you guys. He's the best. He's just great. But seeing my husband in bed and my two dogs and the lamp on and incense burning, and every time I walk into my room and I see that, I just think, wow, I am the luckiest. And my soul just glows. I don't feel elated. I feel this like cozy, like it feels like I'm around a fire, feels like I've got hot chocolate. It just feels like living a dream. Does that make sense? Like, do you see how that energetically that joy feels different? It's not one's better than the other. It's like, whoa, I get this. Another kind of cozy joy is or like this feels like release joy of is we got an inflatable hot tub. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I did not. I've heard stories about inflatable hot tubs, but apparently they're a thing. Y'all, I'm in it almost every day because my body, like many people, sometimes my body needs more TLC than I think maybe it should need. But my body is very clear. And so about every day I'm in there for at least 15 minutes to let my body reset and things. I also run a lot, I lift a lot, I do a lot of work, I do a lot of festival work. So like I put my body through the ringer. Um, but it's the joy I feel when I step in there and I go outside and I see that it's at 104. It's just this like, oh, like it's this relief joy of like, oh, this is for me. I'm safe now. Do you see how that joy feels different? Not better, not worse, just different. And so when we allow ourselves this spectrum of joy to lean into, we're like, oh, joy is accessible in these different ways, right? Have you ever been to a funeral and people are telling stories and they're laughing and they're like reminiscing? That might not be elated joy, but it's this connective joy. And that's something we talked about in call 8, call 7, joy is activism, is the way we're connected to other people, friendship, community, the things we love can light us up when we are low or when we're like, I really want to help, or like, hey, like we're here together. Like being in moments, being together, moving through something can bring this joy of like, I'm not alone. Okay, we're in this together. There's this like hope, this spark, like sparky joy that like can surprise you. And we talked about joy doesn't have to be this either and. You don't have to choose between having a hard day and a joy day. Every moment is a new moment. Every day is a new day. In my 12-step program, we talk about reset your day at any point in time. Go take a shower, go take a nap, go walk outside, change your clothes, like do what you need to like reset and be like, okay, how can I get centered? How can I get grounded? Okay, what do I need next? One of the other things we mentioned, maybe I should have numbered this, but work with me, is about taking care of our bodies so that we have the capacity to notice how we are feeling and to feel the joy. because so often when we're happy, we're like, I don't deserve this. I don't need this. Remember, we talked about the stories. Like, there's so much more we can get into that. I'll probably do a story. There will be a podcast on just joy stories alone, but this is your Spark Notes version. But if you are exhausted and you're tired and you're overwhelmed and you're hungry and you're lonely and you're angry, and maybe you're sick and you're tired, it is so much harder to either look for joy, be open for joy, access it, whatever, feel it. And then there's just the fluke versus like, oh, I'm just, but then you're not actually taking care of yourself. And it's like, okay, but we need to prioritize us as like the humans, as the human beings. And I say this sometimes, and sometimes I get weird looks because I'm like, okay, AJ the human needs a lot of TLC, more than the average person, of just I take a lot of work. And sometimes I'm really resentful of that. But I'm also like the version of me who works a 12-step program, who goes and runs in the morning or works out, who journals, who like does the work, who like XYZ PDQ. That is a version of me. I love living in that life. When I don't do those things, I get corncobblery, I get resentful, I get bitter, I get overwhelmed, I get exhausted, I'm crying. Like my self-care is really human maintenance. And sometimes we're not doing the basics because we think it falls under self-care or something, when really it's what is the maintenance your body, your energy, and your spirit and your soul need, regardless of whatever the fuck everybody else does or can do. I know people who run on 4 hours of sleep and they're like, yeah, I'm great. And I'm like, okay, cool. Love this for you, I guess, but not actually really. Are you actually okay? And they're like, yeah, more or less. And I'm like, more or less. But like, okay. And like, sometimes we don't have as much space to do the things we need, but even the little bits, right? Like, I don't know if you've had a hard day where you go outside for just 2 minutes and you're just like, oh, and you just take 3 breaths and you go back inside, but you feel a little bit better. Sometimes just those small things we do for our human selves, taking glasses of water, drinking water. Y'all, you take nothing from this challenge. Drink your water, go to bed, shower, take care of your body. If you do like your core basics, you are hydrated, you're eating food, you feel clean, like that makes joy so much easier. Without that in place, and whether you're even like putting other stuff in your water, I don't know. But like, without your core basics, it is much harder for your nervous system to have access to anything that's going to feel unsafe. And we talk about that in call 5, I think, when it's like protecting your joy, is your nervous system is wired to keep you safe. And so this is actually about expanding. If you're watching me on YouTube, you can see my hands, but on the podcast, it's like I'm holding my hands out, is that we're really allowing ourselves to hold the both and. Because if we stay all in joy, we're in Pollyanna land and we're not addressing the things that are bad or hard. And if we're just in the hard, then we're ignoring the good and we're not allowing ourselves to have both. Girl, y'all, you got the full human experience. You signed up in this lifetime. I don't know what to tell you. I know it's a whole roller coaster, but here we are. Mama Gina calls it the full 88 keys of expression. And that's what it is. And so when your nervous system is taken care of, and I know that's hard in this world. So like, what is your protocol for taking care of your human body so that you can expand your capacity, so you can take up space, so that when you have joy, when you're feeling good and you've got this bubble of joy, right? And then you bump up to other people's stuff. They're like, oh my God, why do you have joy? Their story doesn't like shame slap you in the face. You can be like, yeah, I hear you. Things are hard right now. This is how I'm staying rooted and grounded through it, is I'm holding on to my joy. I'm holding on to the knowledge that humans are worthy of goodness, even in the hard, right? We did a meditation in call 7 that was a lot. It is activating meditation where we're seeing the ripple impacts of joy in the world. And like how if your joy is a light that sparks and it ripples, seeing that, right? And then we also were like, hey, what if you don't allow yourself to see the joy, the hope, the goodness, the light? All you see is the dark. And then what kind of world does that look like? And it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. And so when you pull the joy back over and the light back over, it's like, oh yeah, it's all here. And let me just say, that kind of sucks in its own way, that it has to be both, right? That if we want the fullness of expression, we have to acknowledge the both. And like, maybe, I don't know, maybe I don't know enough. Like maybe you don't. But right now, with how much I know, which is not a lot in comparison to a lot of things, when I don't acknowledge the both and, I get stuck and things get weird. When I can stay in the both and, be the paradox person that's holding open hands with it, it's hard sometimes. It feels raw, it feels vulnerable, but it's beautiful. And I can be more present. Whereas before, if I just stayed in joy or just stayed in suffering, I didn't have capacity to be present for. Does that make sense? Presence, groundedness, that's the whole point. The whole point of this is so you are awake and aware and present in your life. That's what joy is. Joy is a lens of allowing ourselves to breathe in joy and allow it to settle, because it's not about chasing or seeking joy. It's about cultivating. It's about letting it in. It's about feeling that breeze that touches your face when you're on a walk and going, oh, that's nice. Saying it, acknowledging it. Because when we say it out loud, both to ourselves, it's letting your brain go snapshot, remembering. And you're also saying it to other people so that they notice goodness. How often are we saying bad things? How often are we noticing the good things, right? Okay. Something else I wanted to bring up is how much shame wanted to play. Man, shame is lonely, Mr. Lonely. Shame was like, wait, I want to play, but like, wait, you shouldn't have this, but like, wait. When we feel that sneaky kind of sound of shame coming up of like, you don't deserve this. Who do you think you are? Ba-da-da. It is so easy to slide into that. The cool thing about doing this in community is that when other people said their shame out loud, others were like, no, we want to hear your joy. No, this is good. I had a hard day, but I still want to hear your joy. And people were able to see in community, oh my God, this is real. Okay. It's not just AJ being like, oh yeah, your joy is great. Because sometimes people are like, yeah, but AJ, you don't really count. And like, that's fine. I'm happy to speak till the cow comes home. If you need 5 other people to tell you the same thing, yes, let's get 100 up in here. So we really cemented in. But it was cool for people to be like, hey, I'm feeling really vulnerable. I don't have joy today, or this is really hard today. And other people being like, that's okay. Here's my joy. You can borrow mine. Or like, thank you for being here. Thank you for bringing yourself, your whole self, right? Because if we're playing the capacity whole self game, some days are going to be harder than others, but what is your overall broad brush, right? What is the overall vibe? It's not about chasing the highs and then coming back down. It's about raising our baseline of expectation and stories of ourselves so that the lens we're seeing and moving through is different. If your lens is, I don't deserve goodness and nothing's ever working and like this is all a hot mess and we're all going to die, that lens, even on a regular day, you're just going to see the places that you're disappointing yourself, that you sucked or that you did something wrong, or somebody else did something mean. But if you're like, the world is full of both and, but my soul is good. We are worthy of goodness. Spirit has our back. Possibilities are limitless. There is creativity and abundance. You are going to see things differently. Do you see how that lens changes how things go? That when I stub my toe or when I drop something, I'm like, oh, well, okay, here we go. Pick back up. But it doesn't spiral into a shame story. So just shame came up a couple times. I just wanted to address that like, A, that's normal. Shame is trying to protect you, but also it's a story. Shame is attached to stories. And so if you can get past the shame sound of it and be like, hi, what do you believe? What are you trying to say right now? Oh, that's interesting. Why? Why don't, why do you think my joy is bad for the world? That's so fascinating. Tell me more. And it's like, well, do you remember this? And you're like, oh, that third grade thing that happened. Oh, okay, because my mom said this one time. Oh, okay, because my girlfriend said this one time. Like, do you see how it all links to stories? And then we can say, oh, that doesn't serve me anymore. I'm going to start practicing saying this story. And it's a practice. It's not going to happen overnight where we flip a switch and now we just don't deal with shame anymore. We don't deal with fear anymore. When I tell you how stretchy this month was for a lot of people, but also for me, I want you to hear me. Like, this is the work. Like, I mean, there's a lot of the work, right? But we did the work this month. And like somebody mentioned, they're like, I'm glad the replays are up because I need to go through that again. That was a lot. And I was like, yes, it was in a good way, but we went deep. And so I just want to encourage you that if you've only watched one video or if you watched a couple, go back from the beginning, start with one, work your way through it. Go slow. October is going to be overflow October. We're going to have 2 live calls. And I think I'm just going to do a monthly call moving forward. Just people have questions. I don't know, but it felt so good to be with y'all on the thing and do some coaching and all of it. Okay. Let me just check. We at call 8. Okay, I'm going to be vulnerable. On call 8, we wrote down some things. We talked about our takeaways, joy moments we love, 5 things of growth or things we did something different, right? So often we're chasing the gap of how far I've got to go, or like, oh, I suck, I haven't gotten here yet, or XYZ, right? And then, but we also don't look back at how far we've come, how we're doing things differently. Like, oh my gosh, how different. Even in 30 days, how much can change, right? Habits take time. That's okay. 1% progress builds up. It's exponential. And then 5 things to try, and then affirmation. So I just wanted to read a couple because they were my takeaways, but also might be helpful in seeing kind of what people were mulling and sharing. So a couple takeaways are: my joy is good for the world. Stories are sneaky. So check them. My joy is worth tending. Sometimes because I run naturally high, I'm like, yeah, it's fine. But it's like, no. Like when we're running low, I can amplify my joy. And it is okay. More people are watching and waiting than you'd expect. I'm a life coach, and I also do business coaching on occasion. And sometimes people are like, oh, nobody cares, or nobody's like paying attention. But the people who came out of the woodwork for this challenge, or who were watching on the sidelines and messaged me privately, were the people who participated in ways I wasn't expecting, really surprised me in some cool ways. And I think sometimes, if you're not a public figure like I am, XYZ, it can be easy to be like, it doesn't really matter. My joy doesn't impact others. But in our group chat, people were sharing about other people's experiences of them in their normal, everyday human lives, of how their joy had ripples. So people are always watching. People are waiting for permission slips. You get to be the permission slip giver, right? Moments I loved, call 5, and that whole day, that was you. If you were at call 5 or you watched call 5, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Festival chants. I love sparkling people with glitter and just joy. It's delightful. The group chat, it was awesome. It was awesome. And it's staying open. So you can still join that as well if you'd like. Things of growth. I shared more vulnerably. There are things in the Joy Challenge on our calls that I've never said out loud publicly before. And that felt very bold and very brave, and also really liberating. That was really cool. I noticed more stories. There's been things I've been catching on, because sometimes we're like, I'm going to arrive and everything's going to be great and my joy is going to be perfect. And it's like, that's not really how it works. And I noticed how much I was shrinking my joy because I didn't want to offend other people, or didn't want to be too much. But then I got some massive reminders this month of my joy is exponential in this world. My joy is good for this world. And also, if people don't like my joy, they can get sunglasses, which sounds so bitchy, and I'm still working my way around it. But I got so many reminders this month that this work is needed more than ever in this world. Things to try: sharing more publicly more often. We might get more vulnerable on this podcast. I also want to bring more people onto this podcast. So if you are interested, let me know. Blue rainbow. Oh, I got a pink rainbow dress, and it was amazing. And asking for things. I've gotten better at asking for things and just letting myself be more human. So that's something I'm bringing forward as well. Other people shared their takeaways, that they are worthy of goodness. And oh my gosh, somebody was like, me too. Like, I also get joy. I was like, yes, you do. Other people's favorite parts were like the community aspect of it, of like how much easier it is to stay focused on joy or to cultivate it when you're doing it in community. When we're solo going it, doable. And also, it's just harder sometimes, right? That community, that friendship, and people who have their sights on something more than just the heart, right? And sometimes you need spaces where you can just vent and be like, this sucks so much. Sometimes you need spaces like the good news on Instagram, and just be like, here's the goodness, here's the joy, here's the clouds. And people upride you, people celebrate you, right? Like those spaces are needed. That's our group chat. And affirmations, I said, joy is not a resource. It flows from the source. Oh, and God, I love that so much. So often it's like, well, if I'm happy, then they can't be happy. It's like, this ain't a pie. This ain't Wendy's. This isn't McDonald's with a broken. This is the buffet of the universe. Like it's a 24-hour buffet. There's endless. There is enough. There's more than enough. My joy shines brightly, and that's fucking awesome. And one thing, this feels kind of bold to say, but I am a lighthouse, not a rescue boat. And when I wrote that down, I was like, oh shit. But it also has illuminated of how often I go to save everybody around. Like, okay, do you need this? And then I'm exhausted at the end of the night because I didn't do what I needed to do to take care of me, right? Like so often, especially if you grew up in a Christian context like I did, or just a woman, honestly, it's like, okay, take care of everybody else. And then if you're happy, I'm happy. Turns out codependency is also totally a thing, which we're finding out. But that like, oh no, this work is about, hey, you get this too. Here you go. Here's how to shine, right? And helping you connect to your higher power, to your rootedness. This isn't about me fixing, saving, doing. This is about me staying aligned, you staying aligned, all of us being aligned and being these lighthouses, these beacons in the world. Do you see how that's so different? Because then more space is illuminated. God, the ripples of light, the ripples from this month. I wish I could just show everybody all of the receipts, all of the messages, because I don't think you realize the impact your actions have on other people when you're choosing joy, when you're choosing lightness, when you're choosing to laugh about something wild versus like complaining like nonstop. Because like sometimes we gotta bitch and moan and complain, and sometimes we're just like, oh. And so I got, mango habanero fudge. I don't know. But like sometimes things just happen. But okay, then what do you want to happen next? How are we showing up next? This is a practice, a way of walking, a way of showing up in the world. That takes time to cultivate and grow and shift and learn new stories and get realigned to a new way of like, ooh, does that feel true? Does that feel aligned to my soul and the higher power that I know, that I feel rooted to? Does that echo in my bones? Does that resonate? Does it feel like a clawing or I want to escape my skin? Or does it feel like, yeah, that feels good, right? Like the more we listen to our bodies, the more we're in tune with joy and the whole expansion of it, we can like play the emotional range like a fiddle and move through it without the stories attached that keep us stuck. Because when we just shove it down, we're like, no, it's fine, or that doesn't really matter. Like, it's good, it's whatever. We just shove and then we'll chandelier and we'll explode all everybody. That's from Dr. Brittany Brown. We've talked about that before, so you know what I'm saying. But yeah, I'm just so grateful for this challenge and wanted to give you a mini Spark Notes version. And if you have questions, please reach out. If you're like, this was good stuff, I want to know more. Y'all, like the work is good. It's good. Even I'm kind of still mulling over stuff that came up. So go to Embodied in Joy on Facebook. And then if you would like to join the group chat, it's $33 and you can buy that on the website each month. So 80% of the proceeds go to a different organization. So during the month of September, it went to PCRF and we raised $468. What? How cool. For the Palestine Children's Relief Fund. And so October is going to be the Trevor Project, and then I'll change it every month. But that group chat is going to have accountability, deep dives on occasion, people sharing joy, just different stuff. So, and think about it, like 26 of those dollars go straight to an organization that's doing good work in this world. So really, your joy gets to ripple and your money gets to ripple. Win, win, win. Oh, proud of you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. If you liked this podcast, please share it with a friend. If you're like, hey, this was some goodness today, comment below. Let me know your favorite part or a takeaway or share it. I am here for us all to grow and flourish together. And I think we need more of us to do that. We need more of us standing tall and saying, joy is good. We are worthy of goodness. Spirit has our back. We can do this together, So eat your cake, eat your carrots, drink some water, get some sleep, and I'll see you on the flip side. Bye, my friends.